All right. Hello, everyone. Hey. So hopefully you can all hear me and see my screen currently, but please let me know if there are any technical issues. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the UC application. Oh, and sorry, my name is Jose Tapia. I am the head counselor for HS2's Irvine branch, and today we're going to be discussing some insights from HS2's professional expertise on UC applications. All right. So there is going to be some opportunity for Q&A towards the end. So feel free to use the Q&A function here to list questions, and I'll take some time to answer questions. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So for those of you who may be newly applying to the UCs or maybe revisiting them after a long time away, I wanted to give some insight into the current landscape for UC admissions. So the current landscape of UC admissions has been marked by ever-increasing competition, right? The UCs represent a very attractive commodity for the college student, the prospective college student, because of the tremendous value of education. As a public institution, they really do offer an incomparable opportunity for students seeking education that rivals many of the private universities at a fraction of the tuition cost, right? So, some of the key factors that have made UC admissions quite competitive in recent years has been, one, the fact that UCs have adopted a test blind policy. There have been plans to, institute their own testing system, but as of yet, no word yet on that. So what this has created is a much more difficult process for, especially for our students. While there may be some students who may benefit from this test blind nature, by and large, our students are, those who excel at SAT and ACT testing. So to not have this be part of the admission criteria is certainly a letdown for a lot of families. Another aspect is that year by year, UCs continue to post record numbers, right? You might have seen some of the articles in the news about how, each campus talking about, record numbers, having to, further expand their campuses. So this has really created a, this drive to be much more selective given the huge turnout of applicants. And another issue is that, because of the admissions for non-California students, right? UCs are often looking towards non-California residents, international students for tuition purposes, right? It's certainly a convenient benefit for them. And there are certainly many UCs that have been very generous. UC Irvine really comes to mind in that they are a school that has always been very generous for international applicants. So this creates even more pressure for our current state of California residents who are applying. So to kind of illustrate this point, the UCs have released data for admission rates for this recent fall 2024. And as we can see, admission numbers have increased at the majority of the UCs. Berkeley is a bit of an outlier here, but that may be partly due to some of the pressures of trying to expand their campus, right? There was a recent issue with them losing a court case and trying to expand their campus, so they might still be dealing with the repercussions of that. So as we can see, despite the pressures though, so there are some pretty weird outliers here for this year in particular. Despite the increased applicants, there were some small increases to the UCs, right? I think this may be in part due to state pressure to expand capacity for the state of California. So this is something that I do anticipate to kind of level off, right? I really don't anticipate this positive trend to continue. They would taper off eventually. Another interesting fact here is the out-of-state admissions for a majority of these schools in international rates, despite recent state pressure to actually limit seating and give more opportunities for in-state students. We actually see the UCs continuing to take in more students, which, again, adding to that previous point before, might actually help drive admission rates down and make things more selective if that continues. So we see at UC, at the mid-tier UCs, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis, again, a little bit more pronounced increases to the admission rates there. So 27 and 32% of Barbara, quite notable, but again, nothing too dramatic. And again, we still do see these increases in the overall application numbers. Okay, so UC Santa Cruz, again, continuing to be pretty generous, 60% overall admit rate. UC Riverside, 70%, 77%, and UC Merced. So this might come to a surprise for those seeing this number here, 103%. You know, how is that a possibility here? So the reason for that might be due to the eligibility context, the local guarantee. So actually, for those who are part of that 9%, the top 9% of their high school, they are part of this guarantee where they will get a UC campus if they're not admitted to their first choices or their applied colleges. So this is actually adding to that number when we have students who didn't get their UC admits, but were given UC Merced as this backup guarantee. Okay, so I wanted to take some time to look over the UC application itself, give some insights into how we can make that process a bit simpler and play to our benefit. So first things first, a general idea about the timeline for UC admissions. So by now, UCs are live. So the application is accessible. You can begin to create those accounts and fill out information. October 1 marks the start of the filing period. So this is where students can actually submit their application a bit sooner. This was a fairly recent change. Now, you know, for those who might be curious about that, you know, is there any benefit to submitting earlier? From what we've seen, not really. You know, we don't see a distinct advantage for applying earlier, nor do you receive any admission offers at an earlier time. It's still fairly standard. So traditional end of that filing period is November 30, but there have been some you know, changes to this over the years. Oftentimes the UCs would give extensions for things like, you know, the California wildfires, or at times their own website, you know, at that November 30 timeline is quite a rush for students to submit their applications. And so oftentimes we might see things like the website crashing. So they have given some allowances for that. There was an announcement for this year, which I will be talking about in a couple slides. So stay tuned for that. So besides that, January to February. So this is probably the only early time frame for students to hear back, is if they were actually being notified for candidacy for Regent scholarship. And this might come paired with things like, you know, potential interview questions or requests for additional information like a quarter report. So if you are getting notified about this, then it's a pretty clear indication that you're going to be not only getting the scholarship, but you're getting admitted for that particular UC. So March to April, so for those not receiving any Regent scholarship consideration, the vast majority of students are going to fall into this timeline. And then last but not least, May 1st, this is the deadline to file your statement of intent to register. So this is basically your child choosing to pick and accept their offer at a particular UC, in which case you would accept the offer, submit your statement, your SIR, and put in a deposit. So you can, of course, only SIR to one college at a time. Okay, so there were some notable key changes and updates for UC admissions for this fall of 2024. One particularly big one is that UCLA has limited students to one major selection. So for a long time, they did offer a first and second choice selection here, but now students can no longer pick an alternate major. So what this means is that students do need to be much more careful and selective with their major choice here, because there's going to be no window for other consideration otherwise. And I think this is going to make things more of an admissions challenge. Besides that, I did speak earlier about a update to the filing deadline for the UCs. So for this year, they are extending it already to December 2nd. This may be in part because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Or, last year, I believe it was a week earlier. So this particular Thanksgiving holiday falls very close to that November 30 holiday. So perhaps maybe that might be part of the reason why they wanted to give some more allowances. Let's see. Okay, so in addition, UC San Diego has just received approval and announced the creation of a new School of Computing, right? So for those who might remember, UC Berkeley also just recently did the same thing. They actually created a School of Computing to consolidate both the BS of Computer Science, the Bachelor's of Science for Computer Science, the Statistics major, and I believe Data Science. So 3 majors housed in this new school, right? So UC San Diego is following suit. So they are going to be consolidating, computer science, data science, information sciences in this new college, right? And with a particular emphasis on data and artificial intelligence. They do have a planned enrollment of about 8,000 students, and there is going to be a planned community college pipeline to help, add to these numbers and make sure that students are, feeding this new drive for computer science. Okay. All right. So one obvious point of consideration when it comes to tackling UCs is major, right? So we do want to, get some insight, and I will be breaking down the UCs by detail in terms of what are some highly competitive, or in this case, what they call impacted majors. Besides that, we are going to discuss some strategies to help provide evidence for your major through both activities, essays. We're going to break down some of the insight questions as well, how students can convey more information about their pursuits so that they can add to their major support. And last but not least, in the event that, the students still want to prioritize admission to their college, but perhaps, if they're not ready for their particular major or not seen as competitive, we will be talking about potential changes in major. So using, say, a major for strategy purposes for admission and how you might change. Okay, so let's talk about the impacted majors for each of the UC campuses. Okay, so starting with UC Merced. So a little bit of insight first. Merced is actually one of the newest UCs, the baby UC, founded recently in 2005 with a very generous acceptance rate. And I did talk a little bit about that outlier, that 103% acceptance rate for California students, right? So again, specifically, this has to do with the ELC, eligibility in the local context. So this is guaranteed admission for students who are in the top 9% in terms of GPA at their high school, okay? So if you applied to the UCs and were not selected by your chosen campuses, then you would be automatically guaranteed a UC campus if space permits. And oftentimes UC Merced is the guarantee school for those who did not get admission to the UCs. So again, that's further inflating this, very, very high acceptance rate. So Merced, doesn't typically, wouldn't have traditional impact majors per se. But they do still have quite popular majors, as one would expect, majors like bio, psych, business, computer engineering, mechanical engineering. Okay, UC Riverside. So Riverside is a school that does seem to, defy the trend of declining acceptance rates, with their acceptance rate, rising in recent years, right? So 56% in 2020 to recently 77% for this year in 2024. In part, I do think this might just come from the reputation of UC Riverside. It certainly is still a less popular school amongst, out-of-state and international students, but does carry a lot of name recognition here in the state of California. Despite this perception, though, UC Riverside is still continuing to advance in this upward trend in the rankings. There was a time when they were, in the far hundreds, and from 2020 when they were ranked 91, they actually have climbed all the way to 76. So there could be a very near future when they continue to rise up, 50, maybe in the 50s and beyond. So some impacted majors at UC Riverside include their engineering computer science majors, so basically anything at the Burns College of Engineering, and natural sciences, biochem, cell bio, data science. So UC Riverside has been, very great in terms of adding, majors and classes to adapt to the growing needs of our tech world. Okay, so UC Santa Cruz. So 3 years ago, UC Santa Cruz did experience quite a significant dip in the overall acceptance rate. So we've been monitoring that and trying to see if that trend would continue. And in large part, this drop below 50% was potentially linked to over admittance for students, more than the campus could handle. So they did actually deliberately lower their admitted pool for students. So I believe 5,300. But recently this trend has leveled off, right? So the admit rates have normalized and have grown back to their roughly 60%, historic rate. So again, UC Santa Cruz doesn't particularly have any, impacted majors beyond the typical ones, comp sci and their computer science and their engineering school. But besides that, psychology, business economics, cell and molecular biology, and environmental sciences are quite popular. So UC Davis. So Davis, continues to have this reputation of a very strong, but, middle tier UC. And, despite that, it hasn't, the rate hasn't really shifted dramatically over the years. It has continued to hover around that 45 to 35% acceptance rate. They do have excellent programs in natural sciences, particularly with their veterinary school and dental school, and they're particularly well known for agricultural sciences. So another really specific but attractive major option. Despite what reputational perception of Davis might be, they do have a deceptively competitive computer science and engineering program. And in fact, those particular programs are impacted majors for them. We're actually going to take a look at some of these specific rankings in some future slides to kind of indicate that. Okay, so UC Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara has been on an upward trend in terms of their ranking and reputation. Santa Barbara was sort of, stigmatized as the party school of the UCs, but in large part due to a revamping of their academics, an increase to both computer science, engineering, and research, and also coupled with the growing the growth of the Santa Barbara area has led to the sort of revitalization of the campus. So UC Santa Barbara did hold prestige as one of the third highest ranking UCs for quite some time. But more recently, they have been, dipping slowly. And for this current year, they did drop below UC San Diego and UCI. So impacted majors at UC Santa Barbara include their College of Engineering, as one would expect, their creative studies. So in particular, they do require faculty review in addition to the admissions committee. So that does add to the selectiveness. So some particular majors within that creative studies school: biology, chemistry, computing, mathematics, and physics. Okay, so UC San Diego. So UC San Diego has risen up in the rankings and is now officially UC's third most selective UC, sitting at 26% acceptance rate. This is in large part due to their strong programs for engineering and computer science. They do also have quite a famous school of biological sciences and obviously marine sciences in the area of UC San Diego itself. So both these factors make it a very attractive location for students interested in biology or for pre-med. Another notable detail about UC San Diego is their residential college system. So for those who might not be familiar, students applying to the college actually need to select their preferred campus, which influences their general education requirements for graduation, and also their dorming and living campus. But besides that, these GE requirements do not restrict the major choice that a student can pick. So for instance, a student who is pre-med might look at, say, the Revelle College at UC San Diego and find that the GE requirements are quite attractive, and its proximity to a lot of the lab facilities, is an ideal location. So they might rate that as their top choice, but it doesn't, restrict them from choosing other majors. All right. So UC San Diego does have an official list of CAP majors, and there are some links provided here, but you can also search that on their website: biological sciences, data science, physics, public health, and their engineering school. So UC Irvine. So Irvine has had its acceptance rate plummet in recent years. It is now officially the fourth lowest acceptance rate among UC campuses. All right. So again, much like UC San Diego, the growth of computer science and engineering, especially in Orange County, with the relocation of many tech firms in the area, has really driven this growth. And besides that, being part of that the greater LA area, also attributes to that. And there's still a lot of proximity for job location and internship. So a couple impacted majors would be through UC Irvine's Paul Marriott School of Business, any of the majors contained within the Claire Trevor School of the Arts, or Henry Samueli School of the Engineering, and the Computer Science College, the Donald Brent Computer Science. So for UC Berkeley, they officially have tied with UCLA. So for many years, UCLA and UC Berkeley have done this sort of dance and shifting back and forth between the rankings, but officially they are tied. So, despite this, many still consider Berkeley to be, the much more reputable and attractive campus, especially, because of their business school and their College of Engineering. So, Berkeley's College of Letters and Science is unique in that they list freshmen as undeclared or, intended major on arrival. So what that means is that the major that they're selecting there, they still have to, meet the prerequisites in order to declare their major at the end of their sophomore year. So one practical, effect or consequence of this was that for a long time, students who wanted to do business at Berkeley were restricted to this 2-year program where they had to, like everyone else, declare for that business major and apply to the Haas School. But starting from this year in 2024, Berkeley is introducing a 4-year program where students can get direct entry into this major and start the 4-year program. They will still offer the 2-year program for those interested in transferring, doing an internal transfer or external transfer into the Haas School. So a couple impacted majors, again, the College of Engineering, right? Pretty obvious at this point. Their College of Chemistry. So again, this is an actually fairly unique aspect of Berkeley is that they do have a dedicated College of Chemistry, whereas chemistry at the majority of the other UCs are housed in letters and science. So I do need to update this, but the College of Letters and Science no longer houses computer science and data science. These majors have been incorporated into their new College of Computing. So Berkeley actually offers 2 computer science degrees, their electrical engineering and computer science program and the computer science Bachelor of Arts. So we should be discussing this in a further slide. Okay, so Berkeley and a few of the other UCs do actually publicly show their acceptance rate by college. So this is a very helpful piece of information for those looking to, plan an admission strategy around the college acceptance rate itself. So for a long time, the College of Natural Resources represented a very, interesting opportunity for students to garner admission to UC Berkeley. So, for students who might be interested in, say, environmental sciences, the College of Natural Resources offers that sort of pipeline or way in for UC Berkeley. And they are fairly, it is fairly accessible to, switch your major from College of Natural Resources to the other colleges. So in particular to the Letters and Science College. Okay, so here is that breakdown of the 2 computer science programs at UC Berkeley. So the College of Engineering offers the electrical engineering and computer science major. So by and large, this program offers to combine the hardware side of electrical engineering with the software of computer science. So in particular, there is a stronger emphasis on physics and math. And also a much more traditional computer science or STEM route as compared to the Bachelor of Arts for the computer science degree. So for the computer science degree, now housed in the College of Computing at Berkeley, we see that there's no emphasis on hardware, but much more focus just on computer science alone and software alone. Okay, so for UCLA, once again, they are tied with UC Berkeley as the 15th highest ranked UC, but they are also the lowest acceptance rate out of not only the UCs, but any public university in the country, sitting at 8.9%. So, despite this strength though, as I mentioned before, UC Berkeley still continues to hold sway with a lot of our students and families, in large part due to their stronger programs in computer science and engineering. Yet despite that, UCLA is still an attractive program in large part due to, its strength in the arts and its location. So their location in particular, closer to that LA area and that Westwood area specifically, is a very, very attractive destination for a lot of students, both in-state and also for international and out-of-state students. Okay, so some impacted majors at UCLA would be the School of Engineering, their School of Nursing, College of Letters and Sciences. So specifically their business economics program. So, unfortunately, UCLA does not offer, business administration like some of the other colleges, but they're still very notable and selective for their business economics program. So to kind of indicate this, here are some acceptance rates published by school on the UC website. So as we can see, School of Nursing, very selective, just shy of 1%. And again, this is a testament to UCLA's strength in terms of nursing and pre-med. Their film school and architecture and art school, again, UCLA has long been regarded as a top school in the country for their arts and film program. Engineering program is actually very selective as well, right? So as you remember, Berkeley, I believe, was sitting at 7%. So UCLA's School of Engineering is actually more selective, right? So that might come to a surprise to some families. Okay. So let's also take a look at the breakdown of the various pre-professional majors. Okay. So here we see rankings by USU for the undergraduate business program. So Berkeley long has been considered one of the best in the country, but Irvine, San Diego, still fairly respectable, right? Irvine sitting at 29, UC San Diego sitting at 47. So in particular, note for UC San Diego, they don't offer business admin or management, unlike Berkeley, Irvine, and Riverside. They do have an international business degree. And once again, while UCLA doesn't necessarily have an undergraduate business program, that business economics program is highly competitive and highly sought after. And again, many students who are pursuing economics can still use that as a strong platform and foundation to get into an MBA. All right, so engineering rankings, Berkeley, once again, at the top and adding to that desirability. UCLA, UC San Diego, fairly close. And, we can see why UC San Diego has been rising up in the rankings, both due to their, their strength for business and also for engineering and computer sciences. Davis ranks currently 30. So once again, deceptively competitive, right? So despite, Davis, sitting sort of in the middle of the pack in most people's minds and maybe reputation, actually they are a very excellent program for engineering and should definitely be considered. So some rankings for computer science, Berkeley, again, ranked number 2, UCLA, UC San Diego tied for 14th, Irvine and Davis continuing to be attractive locations. And in fact, UC Santa Barbara is tied for computer science ranking with 3. So again, a testament to UC Santa Barbara's, revamping and strengthening of their academic programs. So, how can we best prepare for, UC application? So for one, we do want to plan out your application and topics to write to tackle those personal insight questions. So for those who aren't familiar, the UCs contain a series of 8 prompts that you can select, and students are going to be asked to pick 4 of those prompts. And the idea of these questions is to highlight as many aspects of the application as possible, right? They want students to have many interests and aren't one-dimensional. So with these application essays, we want to be able to play to the strength of their major while also talking about other great interests and contributions that the student can potentially make at the UC campus of their choice. So another aspect is to know what to expect from these UC essays in comparison to, say, the Common App. So, unlike the Common App essay, which is not just being evaluated for what you say, but how you say it, the UCs are, much more substance over style, right? By that, I mean, the UCs are much more informative. They're more concerned about the content and, what the student is doing more so than the structure or the style of the essay, right? So, in large part because UCs don't offer things like admission interviews, this is the best way for them to learn as much as possible about the application and the student. So another key detail is, unlike Common App, the UCs do offer a bit more flexibility, in fact, when it comes to the activities. So for Common App, those who don't know, they limit students to 5 awards and 10 activities, whereas the UCs offer you up to 20 of both. So you have a lot more flexibility to rearrange this order however you see fit. The order, you could put the activities much more prominently, or you could put the awards and accolades, right? So a lot more flexibility and actually a lot more space to talk about these activities as compared to Common App, where you're much more limited, not only in the options that you have, but also in the space to talk about these activities. So again, kind of feeding into this idea that the UCs really want to get as much insight and background as possible about the student and their interest and their application as a whole. So another detail is, we talked about receiving applications as early as possible, as early as mid-November. So if you do submit in October, this is mostly to, give the UCs more time to evaluate applications. So I think this could be to the benefit of both the applicants and the readers, right? To not be so stressed with the UC applications, with that month of November, and also to afford more time for the UC admission officers to really pay attention to the application. Okay, so to get some idea of the insight questions, we have them listed here. So that first UC insight question is an opportunity to talk about leadership. So this is great for our students who are making, notable contributions in leadership in both clubs, their community, their sports teams. So leadership is, again, going to be a very attractive quality for UC campuses. The second here, highlighting creative interest. So again, this is a fairly well-rounded topic that allows students to talk about their innovative thinking, whether this is for like logic and innovation, like business planning, or creative and artistic interests, right? So this is really great for students who are very much interested in the arts, or for STEM students who want to show versatility by not only talking about their STEM interests, but their creative side, their artistic side. UC3, this is an opportunity to talk about their talent or skill. So this is kind of like a brag essay to really talk about what particular skill set that they've developed the most, right? Whether they're a talented athlete, a talented programmer, or so on, and really to give insight into their journey and how they develop that skill. The fourth essay talks about educational opportunities or barriers. So this is really great for talking about the student's individual educational journey, right? There's the pursuit of their, major or career interests, for example. UC5, an opportunity to talk about a significant challenge and the academic burdens. So in particular, this is a very great prompt for students who have faced more unique individual hardships in their high school career, right? So this is a very great topic for students who might talk about, maybe family hardships, personal health or mental health issues, to really talk about, needed gaps or issues in their academic history and what might have influenced it. UC6 discusses an academic subject that inspires them, how they pursue that interest. So, more typically, this is going to be, the student's major interest, right? Or at least it should be, but it doesn't necessarily. UC discuss the school community and impact. So, this kind of illustrates for those who are new to admissions at American universities that there is this really big emphasis on extracurriculars and also volunteer and community service. It has become definitely a more pronounced aspect of college admissions, and we see a lot of our students, working to serve their communities, both in school or their local communities. We've even seen students, going so far as to create organizations that can make impact locally, nationally or even internationally. So again, really great way to, show more of that personal side, the work that they're doing outside of school, and maybe some of the impact that they're making in their community. And then last but not least, the UC8 question, talking about any particular topic that might show why they are a strong candidate for admissions to the University of California. So fairly open-ended, but obviously we'd want to talk about something that really truly shines and makes the student notable and well prepared and able to offer great qualities and contributions to the UC campuses. Okay, so how can HS2 help reach these UCs and help us better prepare? So for many years, HS2, has been well versed in admissions, both at the Ivy level, right? We've received fantastic results from Ivy colleges, Stanford, Harvard, and a number of the Ivies. We've received great results from not only these Ivy caliber colleges, but top universities, both in the US, but also at the international scene. We do have admittance to schools like Oxford, Cambridge, University of St. Andrews. The international admissions has become a growing interest for many of our students, and we've definitely adapted to those interests and helped students reach those dreams. And then, of course, the UCs. So obviously, Berkeley, UCLA continue to be, fantastic schools for HS2 students. So this is in large part obviously due to the counseling team at HS2, but we do offer a number of opportunities, beyond college counseling to help build students' academic profiles and build unique activities, unique support for their major interests. So to help facilitate that, HS2 does offer a number of classes, fall courses, spring classes, summer classes, to help facilitate, both their in-school learning and also AP preparation for exams and SAT and ACT. So most recently, we have, adapted to the new digital SAT. So for those who are not familiar with that, SAT recently, revamped their process. They are no longer offering paper SAT and have instituted a computerized SAT that can be taken at test centers, right? So there have been some interesting adaptations that have allowed for students to, to benefit from improved test taking interfaces and user-friendly resources to help them get through testing. So HS2 has developed classes from for digital SAT through the support of instructors like Adam and Gina Henry, who respectively from University of Stanford or Stanford University and UPenn. Another great resource that HS2 provides is our nonprofit, Compassion Scholars. So each of our branches is helping to facilitate local community impact and also provide both remote and in-person volunteer opportunities. So a few notable projects include the Community Cares Food Drive, where students are, pooling resources to donate for these food drives. Toys for Paws, so donating materials for animal shelters, Unicorn Academy, clothing drive, keychains of caring. So a lot of these organizations, have that similar aspect of advocacy, awareness, and also donating resources. So a lot of projects available, and Compassion Scholars is always looking to add new projects and also give leadership to HS2 students. We have many of our students are actually supervising and taking care of these programs and working with other volunteers. So this is, not only a great way to show local community impact, add some great notable volunteering to your resume and application, but it's also a great way to build leadership experience. So, and again, we're always looking to add new projects from students and willing to work with them to bring their interest to this organization.